Understanding the nature of subconscious programming is the absolute mecca to all spiritual practice and ascension work. And I don't care how much you meditate or how many gurus you've studied with or how many sacred sites you visited. Without this knowledge, you're only going to move the needle slightly at best. So in this video, we're going to dive into what subconscious programming is and then give you 5 clear steps that you can start to take to reprogram your mind for ultimate success. Hi, Adam here of the Medium channel, where we bring you the spirituality behind the message to help you to awaken. Either you're programming your own subconscious mind or society's programming your mind for you. The subconscious works strictly on programs. That's just the way our minds are constructed. And in fact, computers are fashioned after the human mind. It's just part of the human survival instincts. Now, there's 2 basic types of programming. One I'll call the social programming. It's like the information that our mind get bombarded with day in and day out. That can come from the media. It can come from language, like the subtleties of language can be a programming tool. And understand that society wants you to believe, behave, and act in a certain way because it serves the agenda of a select few, but it causes suffering amongst a great many. Also, body language is a form of social programming. Subtle inflections, tricks that they use in advertising. It goes on and on and on. Suffice it to say that they have spent millions on researching the human mind and psychology so that we could basically be shepherded. The second form of programming, I'll call the personal programming, which is unique to each and every one of us. It's what we see on a regular basis growing up, for example. Like our parents may have fought about money all the time, and we witness that like every day. Or you're told repeatedly that you're not smart enough because maybe your grades aren't great, or you're too fat, or whatever it is. And also traumas, especially repetitive traumas. And it's not so much the actual events that matter, but it's how you respond emotionally to them. Then your responses to the world becomes hardwired, and it shapes the beliefs about yourself. It shapes the beliefs about your world. And what happens basically as things come up in your environment or people say things or whatever, because your mind is programmed for a certain emotional response, you'll respond in the present that way. So basically you're bringing your past into your present, and because our minds create our future, everything's energy, your past reactions to your environment becomes your present reality, then it becomes what you create in the future as well. We really can't know how we're programmed because our programming becomes the lens from which we see the world from. And it's basically shapes our beliefs and our perceptions. It's just kind of like I have brown eyes and I see the world through brown eyes, and that's my perspective. But I wouldn't know that my eyes were brown unless I saw them in a mirror. Unless somebody told me, I guess. But then again, somebody could tell me my eyes are purple, and I might believe that until I looked at the mirror. So understand that the mirror is the universe reflecting our energy back to us. And that's how we can know what our programming is. So here are the steps to reprogram. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up and tell YouTube to share it with more people. And if you like this content, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you hit the bell notification, then you'll get notified when I do live events. People have been telling me they're not getting their notification, but they haven't hit that bell on the channel page. If you do that, you'll get the notification when we do the live events, the live streams, as well as release new videos. So this is how we reprogram our mind. The first step is presence. You have to develop presence. You have to meditate. We cannot be fluid enough of mind if we're not present to change our programming. Presence is the center of all spiritual practices. The more you do it, the more spiritual you'll be, and the more effective your reprogramming will be. So every time you think about it, stop your thoughts and just focus on your breath, or be aware of your breath, be aware of your body, and be aware of everything, and focus on nothing till something takes you out of that. Then the next time you think about it, do the same thing. The next thing is learn to be the observer. So that's kind of an offshoot of presence. So instead of being the reactor to your environment, learn how to be the observer of your environment. So go into observer mode, and every time you think about being present, think about being the observer also. Step number 3 is to learn how to step out of emotional reactions to your environment and observe those reactions rather than be those reactions. You may see steps 1, 2, and 3 are kind of linked together in a way. But the idea is that if you do this enough times, the programming starts to break down. We're hardwired to have very predictable reaction to things that come up in our environment, and that's the programming. But if we catch ourselves and observe ourselves reacting, and I'm not saying to stop reacting, because you'd have better luck stopping a freight train probably than stopping your emotions, but you do have the ability to step outside and observe your emotional reaction. And when you do that, in that moment, you're not the program anymore, you're just observing the program. And over time, that's how you start to clear that program. We get programmed through the power of repetition. We can reprogram through the power of repetition. So step number 4 is doing affirmations and sleep programs. And this is such an important step. And I would say to do your affirmations several times a day. You'll have a specific intention in mind of what it is that you wish to program your mind, whether it's to be more wealthy or to be more likable or to be more confident or whatever it is. Have an affirmation, say that out loud, silently, several times during a day, and make a tape loop, make a sleep program. It takes time, but this is how you're going to reprogram yourself. And because a lot of us are programmed to have lower self-esteem, maybe start your affirmation, if you don't have one, just with the phrase, I am good enough, or I am worthy. In fact, write that in the comments. I am good enough. I am enough. And you can also write down any thoughts you have about the video and anything you want to share also. I do read my comments. But that is an important step. So affirmations, doing them daily, over time, you're going to reprogram your mind through the power of repetition. And number 5 is to call on your spirit guides, call on your angels, and ask them to work with you. So when you meditate, get really relaxed. Ask them to work with you and to show you the source or the origins of some of your programming. A good example of this is that one time I was working with Archangel Raphael, and in my mind, I asked that question. It's like, what in my programming is blocking me at the moment? And then I saw myself being 6 years old after being scolded by my mom and dad, and being in my room and thinking all kinds of negative thoughts of what I'm going to do, what horrible things I'm going to do to my parents, crying, yelling, angry, frustrated. And of course, that's a repetitive process in my mind, and I became a very frustrated adult. I'm having to use my own techniques to not get frustrated so easily. That's how the programming works. So we went back in time, and I saw my 6-year-old self crying. Archangel Raphael took me back in time. I basically told my child self how special he is, how loved he is, how much I love him, and that life needs to be challenging to fulfill a great mission in life. And then I hugged him, brought him back into my heart, and basically reintegrated part of my soul that was trapped in these childhood traumas and repetitive programming. You can do something very similar, and that's going to really help. So do these 5 steps, and in time, you're going to change your programming. That's going to allow you to open up more spiritually. That's going to allow you to connect more with your guides and angels and those on the other side to give you guidance in your life. And it's really going to help with your law of attraction work, because what you're attracting in your life now is a product of the repetitive programming from the past becoming your present reality and becoming your future manifestation. So do this, it will change. And right over here, I have a video for you to check out on how to manifest money or manifest really good things in 2022. The energies change, the rules are changed. I encourage you to check this out. And thank you, and namaste.